So, it's been about 2 years since Spider-Man 2 came out, and I actually have quite a lot to say about this game. And if you like watching me talk about superhero media, then you should definitely subscribe to the channel. First, let's talk about the traversal. When it comes to web slinging, I think Spider-Man 2 is a massive improvement over Spider-Man 1. And Spider-Man just feels so much better to control in this game because of all of the new things they've added. I like being able to slingshot myself off a building. I like being able to do loop-de-loops and being able to web glide. All of these new things just make Spider-Man so much more fun to control, and it honestly truly makes you feel like Spider-Man. Even though that's what IGN would say, but it's kinda true. And it's kind of hard to go back to Spider-Man 1 because of how good the traversal is in this game. I have no idea how they're going to top this in the next game, but I'd like to see them try. Visually, the game looks incredible. I think this is easily one of the best looking games of the current console generation. It somehow manages to look even better than the first game, and that game had amazing graphics. This is one of the only games of this generation that I could consider truly next gen. Now let's talk about the combat. Personally, I think Spider-Man 2's combat is some of the most fun I've ever had with a superhero game. For starters, they've changed the way the focus bar works. In the first game, you were able to save a little bit of the focus by just healing yourself, while in this game you have to make the choice between healing yourself or doing a takedown, so you really have to be strategic with your focus bars. We also have the symbiote powers and the spider legs, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I think the symbiote combat is absolutely perfect. I love utilizing the symbiote, it makes me feel powerful, and I love how it can extend my combos. And I do enjoy using the spider legs, but in my own opinion, I think the symbiote is a lot more fun to use, and I just prefer it in combat situations. Depending where you are on the map, characters can show up and actually help you in the fight, which is a pretty nice detail. But now, it's time to talk about the story of this game. We see Peter and Miles struggling to have normal lives as both of them are Spider-Man now and have responsibilities. And since you can play as two different Spider-Man now, a lot of the times during the story you will switch back between the two characters, and I really like that. I like getting to see the story from different characters' perspectives, and I just really enjoy the bond between Peter and Miles. I like that we get to see Peter mentoring Miles, but they also recognize that Miles has actually grown a lot since the first game. Next, let's talk about the villains. Starting off with Kraven, I think this is my favorite adaptation we've ever seen of this character. For starters, they make this man an absolute threat. He is one of the only Spider-Man villains that usually doesn't have powers, and I love that we get to see that on full display here. Him using nothing but his bare strength, his knowledge of hunting, and his weapons to try to take down the two Spider-Man makes him so intimidating. And I am so happy that Insomniac decided to make him the main villain of the story mode. Spider-Man 2 also has a theme of redemption for a lot of villains in this game, and it's actually really cool to see a lot of the villains from the first game actually become good people. And there's a lot of interesting commentary that Spider-Man 2's story does on this topic. I really like that they included this. I also really enjoyed the bond between Peter and Harry. You can believe that they're best friends, and you end up feeling bad for Harry because of how sick he is. The symbiote is pretty much the only thing keeping him alive. And it makes it so much more tragic whenever the symbiote Peter arc actually begins, which we're gonna get into right now. Because I have a lot of opinions on how the symbiote suit was actually handled in this game. For starters, when Peter gets the symbiote suit, I love how you can immediately see how much power he gets while wearing it. And I like how throughout the story we slowly see the symbiote affecting Peter's attitude, him not wanting to give the suit back to Harry and ultimately wanting to keep it for himself because he's slowly just becoming a selfish asshole. And this all eventually leads to him becoming Bully Lowenthal, or as other people like to call him, Angry MatPat. But my main issue with the black suit in the story is I feel like we needed more of it. I feel like we would have benefited from seeing Peter wear the black suit for longer and seeing how it affects his relationships with other people. But by the time we really start to get to the good stuff, he's about to take the suit off because Miles is fighting him. So we really don't get to see how much damage this thing can cause to his life. That's my only real issue with the symbiote suit. Other than that, I think Insomniac did a good job translating the black suit storyline into their game. Lastly, let's talk about Venom before wrapping up my thoughts on this game. There's a lot of things I really enjoy about Insomniac's take on Venom, but there's also a lot of things that I wish they could have done better. For starters, it only makes sense that Harry would end up becoming Venom. I know there was a lot of people who thought Peter or somebody else was going to be Venom by the end of the game, but we all knew it was going to be Harry. And he has every right to. After everything that Peter did to him while he was wearing the symbiote suit, of course he would be angry enough to just take the suit back by force. And I really enjoy Insomniac's take on Venom's design. I love how the spider logo wraps around his body, and I really like how tall and buff this version of Venom is. And the legendary Tony Todd, who sadly passed away recently, actually voiced Venom in this game. I absolutely love his take on Venom's voice, and I think he gives an amazing performance in this game. And it is sad that he is no longer with us, but at least we will get to see the last few things that he worked on before passing, such as Final Destination 6, which actually does come out this year. And while I did enjoy seeing Venom manipulate Harry, I will admit a lot of the elements with Venom feel very rushed, and I think that is because Sony did rush Insomniac to get the game out faster. So as a result, a lot of the things with Venom and a lot of other elements of this game feel kind of unfinished and leave you wanting more. Overall, Spider-Man 2 is a good sequel, and I do think it was worth the wait. However, Sony rushing Insomniac to release the game faster really hurt the game in the long run. The Insomniac leaks certainly didn't help either, getting so bad to the point where they ended up canceling the DLC. That's why I really want them to take their time with the next game, and I'm really hoping that Sony doesn't screw them over again. I really like this game, but I can't deny that there are definitely issues with its pacing, and it feels a little unfinished. But those are just my opinions, and I'll see you in whatever my next project ends up being.